Hola and welcome to a new episode of the Roofless Dog and Pony Show. My name is Julio Panicello. I am the dream alchemist at Roofless Painters, a free-range art school and gallery for creative nomads of all stripes. With every episode, we reveal the theme of our next painting collection, so you can find out what we will be painting next and also the reason or reasons why. We explain where the painting theme comes from and how it relates to our contemporary time. We explore different possibilities for visual representation of the concept using images of paintings throughout art history as inspiration while citing stylistic and historical references. In many ways, our episodes are like our paintings, messy, unpredictable, and unvarnished. So we don't know what we're going to say and how this is going to play out because there are a lot of technical difficulties sometimes. So please bear with us and stick with us because we are going to talk about an exciting theme, and also we're going to keep it under 30 minutes. You can find also all episodes on Instagram or on our YouTube channel. We have all of them on our YouTube channel. I believe we have over 60 episodes so far. You can also find them as podcasts in any podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. I don't know who listens to podcasts there, but we have them there. So you just have to type the Roofless Dog and Pony Show, and you'll see a bunch of episodes. And that, if you are into podcasts, we highly recommend you check ours because you'll have a good time, or you'll be able to fall asleep faster. Sometimes that's what we do. You're welcome to contact us with any questions or comments about this episode. We stand to be corrected. We'd like you to contribute with your notes, your questions, your comments. We understand that sometimes we may miss some information that you may know, and please just comment below if you want to contribute to the episode. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here. And we sort of go through this brief introduction in order to give people time to join us. But we're just gonna dive in and start explaining the theme for the next painting collection. So what a difference 8 days or 7 days, 7 days I would say, make in regards of temperature. So the next painting collection is going to be related to October. It's going to be related to the change of weather. It's going to be related to the shortening of the days. And no, it's not going to be pumpkins. It's not going to be leaves or anything related to that. You'd be surprised. But one of the things that we've noticed we have been doing that actually points out the change of season is wearing socks. So we found ourselves with cold feet for the first time in I don't even know how many months, but it seems like an eternity. So yes, this was the first week in which we have grabbed wool socks or any kind of socks, but mostly wool socks, and we have put them on. So in honor of socks, some people call this month SOCKTOBER, and that's going to be the title of this theme, SOCKTOBER. We are going to use images of socks or photographs of socks, either found or we take the pictures ourselves of our feet with socks, somebody else's feet with socks, or just socks. And that's going to be the subject of the painting collection. And we're going to go ahead and show you two things. One, collection that we curated of paintings of socks. And you'd be surprised, but people have been painting socks for a very long time. And socks have been subjects of paintings more than you would believe. And also, the second thing that we're going to show you is a few images of socks, feet with socks, feet wearing socks. So you get an idea of points of view, compositions, combinations, and perhaps that will give you inspiration to not only join us, but to do your own Socktober painting. So there we go. We're going to start with the painting, the oldest painting that we have. So it's not specifically or exactly the idea that we're going to use for our own collection of paintings, but there were this is the best example that we found of people mending socks or knitting socks, because that's a theme that traditionally has been the oldest that we found in art history related to the idea of socks, people mending socks. So this is titled The Sock Knitter, and it was painted in 1915 by a painter named Grace Cossington Smith. She was an Australian painter, and she is renowned in her country of origin for bringing post-impressionism to the country. And this is a very famous painting in Australia. Hopefully, I don't know if hopefully we're gonna be right, but yes, that's what we found. The sock knitter Cossington Smith studied in Australia and England, and her work was informed by the modernist paintings of Europe. She shared the modernist concern about painting, including investigating color theory, playing with the picture plane, the illusion of depth in a painting, the use of expressive brushstrokes, and an abstracted composition. About the sock knitter, it is said that the extreme flattening of the picture plane and the use of bright, expressive, broken color applied in broad brushstrokes, so delicate, oh my gosh, to delineate forms reflects the aesthetic concerns of European painters such as Cézanne, Matisse, and Van Gogh. So anyhow, very famous painting, The Sock Knitter, a painter that we didn't know about, Grace Cossington Smith, Australian, and she has amazing work, but this is a really beautiful image. So moving on to more contemporary work. This is a painting by Alice Neal, and again, it's not the exact composition, but we thought it was a fun example of painting someone wearing socks, that it's not an objectified figure. You'll find a lot of nude women wearing socks at the turn of the century, 19th to 20th century. But we didn't include any of those because they just feel like the male gaze is essentially what that was all about. But this one just feels different in many ways. It was painted in 1970. Alice Neal. The title is David Bourdon and Gregory Badcock. So you can see the red socks on the undressed figure and sitting right next to another male figure, but it's fully dressed, and the clash or the combination or the juxtaposition of a very well put together figure right next to a barely dressed or a figure with underwear. It's just really fun, and the color accent here, it's the red. So the red socks and red is a color sort of like bridging what we read about the previous painting, the sock knitter, and this painting, using color, an intense color, in order to play with focal points. So this could be a good example as well. So we are going next to David Hockney. David Hockney has a beautiful lithograph. And again, we're just purposely moving away from the objectification of the naked female figure wearing socks as an excuse to just paint someone naked. But this was painted in 1976, and it's a lithograph, David Hockney, Gregory with Jim socks. So amazing line quality, great composition, and we're getting closer to this idea of painting feet that wear socks. But again, not exactly that, because it includes the figure, but there's something moving a step forward from Alice Neal, the figure that was wearing underwear. The only piece of clothing that we can identify in this nude figure is are the socks, and we would like to bridge this 1976, late 70s, classically rendered image of a figure that is naked and it's wearing socks, with the trend of the turn of the century of painters using the male gaze to excuse the idea of painting naked women by just putting socks on them and either dressing or undressing. So we like this classicism connection and the fact that it's contemporary, or it was contemporized. I just pulled that word out of a little hat that I have right here. But yeah, we think it's a good example. I'm going to jump right now to a specifically much more representative example of what we're trying to do within this new collection of paintings. Even though there are no feet here, there is this contemporary artist. He's also living artist like David Hockney. His name is Ken Beck. This was painted in 2014. The title is Cynthia's Socks, and he has a collection of paintings of socks and pairs of socks. It's just beautiful when you see it all together. Different shapes and colors and different positions on a flat surface. But we thought it would be a great idea to bring one example of his paintings as an inspiration or idea about what this painting collection could also be. Doesn't have to be feet wearing socks necessarily, although this could be a great opportunity to practice some feet anatomy. But if you feel like that's something icky and you don't, for whatever reason, want to do feet, you can also bring socks and kind of like do a still life. These socks seem to be flat on a surface, and then he used bird's eye point of view to render them. So there's composition, there's texture, and there's color organization here, and we think the painting is just phenomenal. So 2014. We're just gonna move to another painting. This is not contemporary. Sorry, let me see if I can pronounce this. Paul Cadmus. Paul Cadmus was an American artist, and he was famous for using tempera and depicting images or snapshots of urban life, I would say, that had some surreal influences. But anyhow, we just found this drawing from 1951, Shirt and Socks, a study for the bath, and chalk and crayon on Ingress paper. So yeah, he was born in 1904. Paul Cadmus died in 1999. He was 95 years old. Yes, almost 95. A few days short of 95 years old. And he is known for his egg tempera paintings of gritty social interactions in urban settings. I'm reading. He also produced many highly finished drawings of single nude male figures. He was a queer artist, and he's famous for just rendering the male figure. He was fascinated with Renaissance artists who painted muscles, and that was he was pretty much infatuated by that. Unfortunately, the socks are behind the video, but anyhow, so there are two socks hanging on a shower rod, it looks like. So here's another example of how you can tackle this theme. The socks don't have to be worn. They don't have to be flat on a surface. They could be hanging somewhere. So that could be another additional idea about this painting collection. And then let me see. There's a final painting, I would say, if I can find it. Yes, so sort of like related to Paul Cadmus, this is a contemporary artist. He's a Chinese contemporary artist, Zhang Anli. A pair of socks painted in 2011. So I think he's not. Yeah, he was born in 1965. Yeah, he's a contemporary artist. He's still living and working in Shanghai. 1965. And what else? His paintings depict the familiar and overlooked everyday objects connected through the artist's immediate surroundings, often from unusual viewpoints or focusing on seemingly insignificant details. It seems like this paragraph alone describes, or it could be a good introduction to an artist's statement about this painting. He produces works that invite universal interpretation. I'm not sure about this sentence. He often works in series, such as his paintings that focus on the idea of the container, cardboard boxes, ashtrays, tin chests, and lavatories. Other works depict functional municipal structures that populate the streets of Shanghai, such as public toilets and tiled outdoor water features. Anyhow, so this is precisely related to this idea of, we like the word, overlooked everyday objects connected through the artist's immediate surroundings. So go grab a pair of socks in your immediate surroundings and use them as subjects of your paintings for this week. And now I'm just going to move to examples of, finally, this is another example of a contemporary painter using socks as subjects of their paintings. Emily Lacour, born in 1990. So this painting was done in 2020. And it's titled The Rise and Fall of Striped Socks. It's a beautiful image, incredible contemporary modern composition. Notice that there's a difference here in the premise or the viewpoint. So we've seen paintings done as portraits, almost like where the artist was away from the sitter and then the sitter painted the socks. We've seen paintings of still lifes of socks, flat on a surface, hanging, nudes with socks, wearing socks. But this seems to be like a self-portrait, a photo taken from or by the artist itself, and then she just painted herself wearing socks. It seems like, or maybe it's a photo that someone else took and she loves it. So we don't know, but that's another example. We brought this because this could be a great example as well of what to do with the idea of socks. You can wear socks that you like and take a picture wearing them. It could be this position, or it could be any other position, or you could have someone else take a picture of your feet wearing socks. But mostly we love the fact that it's not overdeveloped, that it's free from convention, that it has a very interesting usage of positive and negative space. We like the cropping, the ample flat space around the focal point that doesn't necessarily depict a descriptive context, spatial context. We don't know if that's tile or rug or epoxy floors, and there's no indication of where the figure is sitting. So don't feel like you have to make it complicated. So it's all about socks. And I think those are all the images. And now we're just gonna essentially bring some fun examples that we found on Instagram. Again, there is such a thing called SOCKTOBER, and we had no idea, but apparently people take pictures of socks that they love every day. So today is October 14th. So someone will say day 14 of SOCKTOBER, and then they would just post something like this, for example. So that could be another idea of a point of view, a composition, a close-up, simple, but we know that simplicity in a subject opens a lot of complex premises. So we love this image because it's extremely simple and yet very sophisticated. So someone posted it for SOCKTOBER. Another example of that is this one. Someone took a picture just pointing the feet down. So another simple but yet complicated example or suggestion or idea. So with an image like this, for example, there are opportunities to explore the anatomy of the feet without going too deep into nails and fingers and stuff like that. There's bone structure, there's value, there is composition, but there's also light direction, shadows, illusion of form. So there are a lot of very interesting things that we could just explore and expand when we paint feet wearing socks. Love this one because of the very restricted color palette. This seems super simple. Someone else maybe took the picture of this feet wearing socks and then the black pants. It's not black. There are different shades of black. There's different temperatures of black. So again, simplicity but complexity. This could be another great example of usage of line of beauty, how to distinguish flat surfaces versus upright surfaces on a pictorial plane. Going back to what we read about the famous Australian artist Grace Cossington Smith, how during modernist time she was interested in depicting or how the pictorial plane could represent perspective and abstraction in a way. So another example would be this one. We love this point of view. Another playful and interesting example. There's nothing wrong with this image, by the way. We just made sure that there's nothing inappropriate, even though it may look like, but it's not. So we like this idea of taking the photo or having a point of view that it doesn't come from the wearer of the socks, but from sort of like the other side below, the feet, the planter, the bottom of the feet. I don't know what word to use, but value, illusion of form, sculpting the idea of a bone structure and feet could be a really great opportunity to work with this image, for example. So again, it's not just looking down, but it could be just looking the other way. That could be a good example. Again, these are just suggestions and hopefully opportunities for you to spark your creativity in regards of what image you want to use. We just brought this because the socks don't need to match, and they don't have to be of a single individual. So yet another path in order for you to think about how you want to incorporate the subject of socks in your painting. It just could be socks belonging to different feet combined in the same format. So we found that idea playful and interesting, and also part of the repertoire of ideas to think about when you do this. And finally, I think we have two. This is a little bit more curated, more Instagrammable, but there's also the idea of taking a photo of feet wearing socks from the point of view or the elevation of the feet. So it seems like the camera is really close to the ground. So there is something also playful about using that point of view, depicting the elevation or just from the ground, rather than from the eyes of the viewer and looking down. It could be just from the actual floor. So we also love the color palette, and obviously this has like more descriptive contextual aspects, the background, furniture, corner of the wall, hardwood floor. It's a little bit much more complicated, but another idea of how to use the subject matter that we're proposing. Again, we just getting into the mood of fall, and one of the indications, and that's the reason why we're doing this, one of the things that we noticed we are in fall, it's because we started wearing socks, and that just happened from last week to this week. And it's not about pumpkins or lattes or leaves falling, but we thought we could just pay homage to this sartorial accessory that is dragging us into colder weather, and bring some ideas or suggestions of doing it in different ways. And I think that's all. Another example, if you want to use a color palette that speaks to you, and if you just want to use a different kind of like composition perhaps, so you can practice texture rather than the illusion of bone structure, this could be another idea. So I went through my sock drawer, and everything is all over the place. The socks are not paired, so and they look very boring. There's nothing super interesting, so I'll just go through it and find out. But hopefully this will give you an opportunity to start creating before painting, and then thinking of point of view, thinking of elevation, thinking of top to bottom or the other way around. But the idea is, the title of the series will be SOCKTOBER, and let me see. Yes, the title of the series this week will be SOCKTOBER. We're painting socks, either wearing them or as still life, just because we're essentially wearing them for the first time, at least here in Southern California. So, and at least this week. I mean, we noticed that some people have started wearing socks like much earlier, but for us, it was this week. We wore the first socks, and we were like, boom, that's gonna be the subject for the painting. So sign up online. There's a link already in our calendar. We're going to send a reminder email today, tonight, just explaining a little bit more and giving some examples. So we have an incredible collection of paintings from the last few series, and it just feels so grateful that we are just creating together. So I think it's important. And so some of the things that we have learned is that sometimes, even if painting is not your medium, even if the subjects we propose are not part of your body of work, when you challenge yourself to create something that is not what you're used to, directly you are expanding your experience, and when you get back to what you're familiar with, you have a knowledge that makes your own body of work much better. So even though you may not be using paint, or you may not be painting socks or doing whatever the crazy weekly subject is, join us, do it. It's good for you, and it'll make your own work better. So it's only $20. It's 3 hours total, 2 hours painting, and then 1 hour exchanging ideas. We make suggestions, we give feedback in a very constructive, positive way that you've never experienced before, because people are truly mean out there, but we're not. And that's all. We hope you join us. Socktober is here, and we're gonna celebrate it tomorrow. Bye.